Hey guys, what is going on? This is Wrestlelamia back with another episode. It's another big night on Smackdown as the road to WrestleMania heads towards Elimination Chamber with an undisputed tag team championship match and a fatal four-way to determine Gunther's next opponent. Join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at the 10th February edition of the Blue Brand, as well as all the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know in wrestling, including The Rock was asked to work a major match outside the WWE, has Triple H given up on Baron Corbin, an interesting rumor about Randy Orton, where are the Good Brothers, and more. As always, we won't recap the matches, but look at the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. The good. Sami acknowledges Jey Uso. The story of Sami Zayn's quest for the undisputed championship really isn't about him winning the belt, which seems less likely than ever. Rather, it's all about the bloodline crumbling apart. Tonight's promo by Sami, where he warned Paul Heyman that Roman only has 8 days left, was decent, and Zayn never looked more serious in a WWE ring. However, the real excitement occurred when he met Jey Uso backstage and told him he appreciated his support at the Royal Rumble. Sami told Jey that he doesn't have to go down with the ship, extending a fist bump which main event Jey returned. Paul Heyman is watching. Paul Heyman was up to his usual subterfuge as he told Jimmy Uso that he and Jey should stay home for Elimination Chamber and watch the match, as you can see things on TV that you don't always see at the arena. The Tribal Council was of course referring to Jey's reluctance to side with the bloodline rather than just support his brother, and Jey's fist bump with Sami. LA Knight is still with us. It's good to see that LA Knight is still with us despite his terrible outing in the Mountain Dew Pitch Black match. LA Knight says he's not looking back but looking forward, and WrestleLamia thinks this is the best for everyone as Bray can play with his puppets while Knight can move on to a meaningful storyline. LA oozes charisma, has a great gift for the microphone, and knows his way around the ring. If WWE can't find a good use for him, it's time to send him to Raw so he can rejoin the Maximum Male Models. Hope for Lacey Evans? WrestleLamia is hopeful that Lacey Evans' current push is going to lead to something, but experience has taught us to be cautiously optimistic at best and prepared for utter doom at the worst. How many times have fans seen retooled wrestlers get a string of wins over enhancement talent only to stumble as soon as they face any experienced opponents? Lacey's tough-as-nails gimmick fits her real-life history as a Marine, but the WWE's failure to push her before has us fearing for her future. Charlotte Flair is going to put Rhea Ripley in her place. Tonight's sit-down interview between Michael Cole and SmackDown Women's Champion Charlotte Flair was a good alternative to an in-ring promo. Michael Cole stepped into journalist mode, asking Charlotte about Rhea's battle against her 3 years ago and her upcoming battle at WrestleMania 39. Flair told Cole that 3 years wasn't enough time for Ripley to be on her level. Flair continued, saying that she taught Rhea a lesson 3 years ago rather than putting her in her place. However, this time she was going to put the Nightmare in her place. This cold and confident promise by the Queen should have fans wondering if Charlotte is underestimating her opponent or just that good. The bad. Another boring title defense. By now it's bad when the only suspense fans have of the Usos losing the belts is that only one of them is available to defend the titles. That was tonight's story as fans wondered if Jey would show up to help his twin brother Jimmy. Naturally, Jey came through, but as soon as he did, the results of this match were a foregone conclusion. An A in predictability. The WWE earned an A for making the majority of matches and segments predictable. The Usos' win was a given, but so was Madcap Moss's win in the Fatal 4-Way. The WWE isn't ready to have Karrion Kross face Gunther yet, unless it wants to bury Kross further after his loss to Rey Mysterio, and Rey has already jobbed to Gunther. That left Santos Escobar and Madcap Moss. Escobar is too good to be thrown into the lion's den with Gunther and eat a loss. The WWE seems to have something in mind for Madcap, and a loss to Gunther seems to be part of the plan. Otherwise, how to explain him winning a title shot he's destined to lose when he cashes it in? Shayna Baszler complaining about being compared to Ronda Rousey may be an issue in the future, but the two MMA stars' attack on Natalya was another segment that was obvious from the start. Sonya Deville, SmackDown's answer to Carmella. The WWE wasted no time in taking Sonya Deville from her spot as a wrestler who gave Charlotte Flair a good battle last week back to her regularly scheduled spot as an enhancement talent. Despite this, Deville continues to get TV time while other female talent hovers around in catering. Deville is apparently SmackDown's answer to Carmella, a wrestler with workman-like skills who somehow manages to get booked on a regular basis, including main event matches she has no business being in. The Brawling Brutes keep a straight face. Kudos to Sheamus and Drew McIntyre for keeping a straight face during the Viking Raiders' latest video promising doom and gloom for their opponents. The videos are actually well done, but playing them on the Titantron while their opponents watched was a waste of time. The former Banger brothers looked like they were waiting in queue at the delicatessen rather than dealing with a threatening message. The Downright Ugly. This was a SmackDown buried in mediocrity. The wrestling was as solid as ever, but the show seemed like a taped episode rather than one designed to hype up a PLE that's just a week away. Tonight's show was predictable, poorly timed, and one of the most disappointing SmackDowns in months. News. Main eventer preparing for a return at WrestleMania? Topping today's news, Randy Orton hasn't wrestled since last spring, but some recent social media posts suggest he may be preparing for a return. Wrestling News recently tweeted, on Facebook stories, wrestling bootmaker Jose G. Sands was asked which wrestler has had the biggest impact on him out of those who order from him. His response, I haven't made them yet, but Randy Orton contacted me via email for his return. Currently, Drew McIntyre and Bray Wyatt are some of the biggest superstars. Today I received an order for boots for Cody for WrestleMania. While social media posts should be treated skeptically, this message follows a recent photo of Orton where he appears to be in peak physical condition. Wrestlelamia will continue following this story. Was The Rock going to work a major match outside of WWE? The Rock will not be wrestling Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 39, but did you know that he was approached about working for Pro Wrestling Noah against wrestling legend Keiji Muto? Dave Meltzer reported in the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter that Muto said that Noah went to Johnson's people who came back with a price of billions of yen. 1 billion yen is approximately $7.6 million, so of course a figure of billions of yen meant that he had no interest in it and was implausible economically. It's unknown whether The Rock gave an astronomical sum knowing that it wouldn't be considered, or if he had any intention of returning to the ring for the right price. What do you think? Has Triple H given up on Baron Corbin? Why did the WWE decide to have WWE Hall of Famer JBL stop managing Baron Corbin? Fans tuning in to the 6th February Raw saw JBL tell Corbin he was tired of Corbin tarnishing his name and telling him, you can't polish a turd. JBL managing Corbin showed potential, and the abrupt ending to their partnership led to questions whether this was the original plan. Dave Meltzer discussed the situation during a recent Wrestling Observer Radio. They gave up on it. Obviously, this wasn't the plan. The guy in charge, that's Paul Levesque, felt it wasn't working, and that was it. Where they go with Corbin, I don't know. It felt very much like a burial for Corbin. He's had so many gimmick changes, there's nothing wrong or right with him, but in the pantheon of stars, he's just not at that top star level. I think they wanted him to be at that level, and they gave him every chance to be at that level. He's just a guy, a tall guy, but he's just a guy. As Wrestlelamia noted before, it's difficult for fans to get behind anyone, be they a heel or a face, when they consistently lose matches. Do you think Corbin's career is finished in WWE? Where have the Good Brothers been? AJ Styles has been out of action due to an ankle injury, but where have the Good Brothers, Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows been? The talented team haven't been on TV, and according to Sean Ross Sapp, there's a good reason for their absence. Sapp recently appeared on Matt Hardy's podcast, revealing, people were asking why the Good Brothers were not at the Royal Rumble or at Raw. In their deals, they said if you're not going to use us, we don't want to be there, just don't send us there. With all due respect, we will do our jobs, but we don't want to be there for not being used. WWE said, okay. Wrestling Inc.'s Sai Mohan noted that Gallows and Anderson have been wrestling at live events and recently worked a match on Main Event. The WWE certainly has enough talent that they don't need to use the Good Brothers unless they have a proper storyline. Did Rey Mysterio turn down a fan request for an autograph? Did Rey Mysterio refuse a fan's request for an autograph? A video is making the rounds on TikTok showing two so-called fans presenting an unmasked Rey with a cornucopia of merchandise to sign. Not only was Papa Ray walking through the airport, but it was clear that fans were looking for Rey to sign the merchandise so that they could sell it. Ray did decline, but when the person said he was a fan, Mysterio said he'd sign one item. What do you think about this interaction? WrestleMania Goes Hollywood, the sequel. WrestleMania 39 is being held near Hollywood, and it looks like it's sequel time. WrestleVotes recently tweeted, "I'm hearing WWE has begun filming brand new movie parody promos similar to those from WrestleMania 21. Miz, McIntyre, Sheamus, Brutes, and Street Profits all expected to be included in the promotion for WrestleMania Goes Hollywood." Filmgoers have seen plenty of sequels to successful productions, so is it any surprise the WWE is following up on the success of its original WrestleMania Goes Hollywood videos? NXT Superstar Retires? Has former NXT Superstar Oney Lorcan, aka Chris Gerard, retired? According to the WWE Performance Center's head coach Matt Bloom, that seems to be the case. Bloom recently appeared on Real Radio Monsters and discussed his coaching staff, praising their work. During his conversation, Bloom mentioned, "I have an amazing staff, so I gotta give props to those guys. Terry Taylor, Fit Finley, Robbie Brookside, Norman Smiley, Steve Corino, Alexander Winkler, Oney Lorcan, Chris Gerard, who just recently retired from being in the ring, Johnny Moss, and we have a few UK coaches that are on the cusp of being full-time coaches as well." It sounds like the Performance Center has an amazing range of talents working as coaches. AEW Fight Forever release date? Last but not least, is there light at the end of the tunnel for AEW fans and gamers? Rumor has it that the long-awaited AEW Fight Forever wrestling simulator will be here soon. The Mat Men Wrestling Podcast's Andrew Zarian tweeted, "Spoke to an old colleague who is deep in the gaming world. They mentioned to me that AEW Fight Forever is slated for a Q2 release at this moment." According to Cultaholic's Aiden Gibbons, this would put AEW Fight Forever's release date between April and June 2023. Fight Forever has received a T for Teen rating, which hopefully is another sign the game will be released before the next generation of gaming consoles comes out. Well guys, there you have it, WrestleLamia's look at the 10th February edition of Smackdown, including the good, the bad, and the downright ugly, as well as the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know in wrestling. Be sure to leave your comments, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll see you next time for some more wrestling content.